All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Spotter Stand. Coming at you live this week. Just left California. Got all the racing action from last week's races and what's coming up in this week racing. Once again, we got Pockets and Hot Rod in the booth with us. Rugrat is going to be along here shortly, and we're going to have a good show for you guys. How you guys doing tonight?
Good. What's up, everybody?
Real good.
We got no picks this week.
No picks.
No picks this week. We got straight into the racing action. So let's get right into it with Wednesday night. Wednesday night, the trucks were off once again this week. So we ran the Drunken Cow Jerky Late Model Dirt Series. Ran at Terre Haute this week. And this week, let's see. I got to do some scrolling here.
Scroll.
Yeah,
Scroll on, brother.
a little bit scroll.
I know who won, Chad. I know who won.
Yeah, you know who won. The BSR Hot Rod, our Voiles Trucking Friday, Saturday Night Dirt Series champion, took the win once again in the dirt in that number 65 teriyaki flavored Drunken Cow jerky machine at Terre Haute. Great job, Larry. Dominated that race. Good job, man.
Yes, I had a good run. Kind of got lucky. Me and Eli battled for quite some time now. I'll tell you, we were side by side for quite a few laps.
I see Momo out there in the chat said I need to check my email, that he did email me a pic of his shirt. I haven't been in there for a couple of days, so we'll get that on here next week, Momo. Maybe we can get a few more pics, a few other shirts, and some jerky prizes. We'll get them all together on next week's Spotter Stand. Appreciate you sending that, though, man. Let's take a look at the race results here from this Wednesday night dirt race.
Top 5 was BSR Hot Rod winning the race. Eli second, Nelly third, Brain Fade fourth, and Mr. Texan with a good showing gets top 5.
Yeah, it looks like you and Eli both had a great race. You did lead the most laps there at 43 laps led. Eli real close to you on that with 39 laps led in that race. And Pockets, look at Pockets managed to lead 15 laps. How the hell did you manage to lead 15 laps in that race, Pockets?
I think everybody else had went to the concession stand. Must have. I don't really know.
Well, that's no small feat, to be up there in front of Hot Rod and Eli and Nelly, Brain Fade. Those guys all run really well in the dirt all the time. So 15 laps led, that's pretty good. I didn't lead a single lap. Looks like Nelly and Furco were the only other two drivers that managed to lead a lap during that race. It was pretty good, pretty clean race. We did have a few cautions, but I think everybody's getting a little better at running this dirt, and we're getting more longer runs without a caution every other lap. I think that was a pretty good race there at Terre Haute this past Wednesday, and great run, a lot of fun.
Yeah, that track, that Terre Haute track makes for some good racing. It's a good race. Congratulations to the foot doctor, and no big surprise that the foot doctor down there in Victory Lane. He's like what's that guy? Never mind. Go on.
Hey, are the trucks back on next week? Or are they off again?
Oh, we're out
Oh,
Martinsville,
they're all-
everybody, the whole gang, except
No.
for
No.
Friday night.
Yes, Friday night is up.
So-
Trucks and Cup
Not-
at Martinsville.
So tomorrow night, we will be racing at Martinsville in the trucks. Yeah, short track racing. It's going to be a lot of fun there. Let's go take a look.
Back is not my fault anymore.
Now we bleeding back on Larry. I think maybe he was pushing his button at the same time.
Yeah, I was trying to get a word in, but you guys had it going.
Yes, Wednesday, Thursday at Martinsville. Friday we're off.
We've had two races in this dirt series. Let's take a look at the points. 2 races into it. Currently, Hot Rod holding the top spot with a 2-point lead over Nelly. A 4-point lead over Eli. I sit in fourth place down by 6, and there's a tie for fifth between Steve Looney and Brain Fade, both down by 7. Scar sitting right there down by 8, and then it's a 10-point jump back from Scar to Rugrat to 18. But top 7, very close. Only 8 points separate the top 7 drivers, and 2 points from each, 2, 4, 6, and then 7-point tie for fifth. A close run here after the first 2 races are down, and no surprise to see Hot Rod up there at the top. Dirt champion, most experienced driver I think that we have in the dirt here, and Eli, great run too. And look at Nelly up there in second place, only down by 2. So long race to get, a lot of races to go yet in this series, but Hot Rod off to a good start.
Nelly ended up sweeping a bonus point again this week. That's 2 in a row for Mr. Nelly.
Yeah, who got the heat bonus points? Was it you and Nelly, or Nelly and?
Nope, it was Nelly and I believe Eli this week.
Let's jump right on into Thursday night in the Cup Series. Thursday night Cup Series ran at California last week. Big, wide track, great track for racing, and we did have a great race at California. We had some green flag stops. I think one of our cautions came out just at the end of some of the green flag stops, and pretty much everybody had made their stop with maybe the exception of 1 or 2 drivers. So, great run at California. There was some 3 wide, 4 wide even at the end of that race. If you guys remember, I think it was the Cup race. It may have been the Xfinity, but I'm pretty sure it was that Cup race where we had a hell of a run back to racing the last couple of laps to the finish, and 3, 4 wide on the restart. Great race.
Yeah, it was that race.
Yes, that's a fantastic race. We had some great racing in California this week. California. I was just thinking, it's a shame that is it really on the schedule just in the spring? We don't go back there. That's it.
That'd be it.
Yeah, that's terrible, because that track is just great for racing. It's a big wide track, a lot of room. You can run a high line and hold in there with a low line. It's too bad we don't go back there more than once. But who took the victory in the Cup Series in this one time? BSR Brain Fade. Yes, Brain Fade in that Reaper flavored drunken cow jerky machine, Toyota Camry. Took a victory, get into Victory Lane Club, got himself a bonus point towards his chase early in the season at California. Congrats, Brain, man. Good job.
Yeah, he gas mileage that if I'm not mistaken. That was a great win.
He played that just right.
Yeah,
he sure did.
Absolutely did.
He sure did.
Mr. Texan, who led the most laps, got second. Hot Rod third. Terry Scott fourth, and Mr. Rick Craddock rounds out the top 5.
Yeah, it looks like I did lead the most laps there, 43 of them. And Rick Craddock led quite a few, 28. Rick had a great car at California. Fast, very fast car. I don't know, a lot of that race when I was behind him, I didn't really have much for him. I could hang with him, but I couldn't really get much of a run to pass him unless he made a mistake. Whereas when he was behind me, he was able to just pull right up on me and make the pass. So, in the short run, I think Rick Craddock definitely had a better car than I did. Maybe in a long run toward the end of the fuel run, my tires were holding on maybe just a little bit better. But Rick had with a great car, pulled off a great finish there, top 5. And Brain Fade with the win, man. Great job, Brain. And if you look at those laps led, not quite as many people, it looks like this time. We've been talking about that, people staying out, getting their lap, and it looks like, I think it's because we just didn't have as many cautions. There weren't as many opportunities for people to stay out there and get a lap led. So you had to earn that one. You had to get that. You had to get that on the track. And looks like about half the field maybe able to lead a lap, and the other half not able to get that bonus point. But great race, man. I love that track, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we only had 2 cautions in that race. That was it. That was a fantastic race.
Good job,
Yeah.
Brain Fade. That was a great win. I mean, he pulled that off. He did just what he needed to do, and the cards fell just right for him. I see him do that almost every week. He plays. He gets as much as out of the. He gets his money's worth out of the fuel and tires, and he waits until he needs to pit, hoping maybe somebody will have some trouble while he's still out there. And man, it worked out perfectly this time. That was a good job.
I, I, I had a bad call on pit road. I had the right strategy, but bad call. I was only taking a splash there for the end, and I was at the top 5, so I couldn't chance staying out. Knew it would probably run out on me coming out of turn 2, possibly. So I didn't want to risk it, and I somehow checked my tires back on and changed 4 tires at the end. Kind of hurt me.
Well, you still pulled off a good finish there at third place. You can't beat a top 5. Third place. If you take that average almost every race, you'll be up the top of the board coming in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But if I wouldn't have messed up my tires, I do believe that I would have maybe won that race. Maybe probably would have beat you because I definitely would have got out ahead of you.
I see Brain Fade out there in the chat typing in blind squirrel win, and I don't think we could go that far. I think it's only a half blind squirrel win because you earned that one, man. That was a great job. Let's take a look at the points. We're 4 races into this Cup Series now. Let's see where the points stand. I believe Pockets was leading this. Let's see if he's still up there.
No.
Oh, it is Rick Craddock, who has moved up 2 spots to take over the lead. And myself moved up 4 spots to tie for second place with BSR Wings. Both of us tied for second, down by 3 points. And Pockets dropped 3 spots back to 4th place. Still not very far back, only down by 6. Terry Scott rounding out the top 5, down by 8. And there's another tie. Look at that 3-way tie for 6th place between Joba, Monty Keller, and Brain Fade. With that victory, Brain moved up 5 positions. It's a tie for 6th place, only down by 11 points.
I'm slowly creeping my way back up. Slowly creeping back up.
Yeah, you had a bad race early, didn't you, Larry? You had a bad race. Was it
Daytona, and then at Las Vegas? I had a bad race. I've had quite a few bad races.
Well, you gained 2 more positions at California. You moved up 2 spots to move to 14th place. 45 points back seems like a lot, but you stay consistent. You'll move up a few spots every week.
Yep, that's the goal, just to get back up there.
Let's take a look.
I lost a motor at California is what happened to me.
That's why you're so quiet.
Right there at the closing. Man, I like California. I've felt confident about California. We do good at California. We just didn't do good this week. It just was a off week after we were riding the surf of a little success there, and just as racing will do, it turned around and bit us and made us realize that we still got to keep digging all year long.
Well, next week we're coming into a way different track at Martinsville, totally different than California. That's a track where you got to use your brakes, and it's easy to get in the back of somebody. Everybody's got different braking points, and the trucks are usually a little bit easier going. At Martinsville, it's a little easier to get around those corners in the trucks, but in this Cup Series, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a hell of a race.
Our Martinsville races are not as attrition filled as you would believe or think they would be. We actually have some great racing at Martinsville, so I'm not really that concerned about going there. It's a good place to go, some short track racing, and it'll create a lot of action. So we look forward to that. So it'll be a good couple of nights there.
You guys see Captain Crunch out there ringing in with the Jones barbecue a foot from the side.
I see. I see him out there. Why is he out there and not in here?
I don't know. Jump on in here, Captain
Maybe
Crunch. You're
that's a
welcome to
good
join us.
thing. I don't know why I'm just egging trouble on, but
Well, let's jump over to Friday night. Friday night Xfinity Series also ran at California. And this week in the Xfinity Series, it was the number 4 BSR Mayhem snuck in there in the end and stole the win away from Terry Scott. Terry Scott with a great Xfinity car at California. Had a great race, great run, and we had a semi-late race caution, and it was I think, what was it, like 3-lap shootout at the end. And it was another one of those great restarts. Everybody racing for position. Actually, this track, I think it was this Xfinity Series. I remember my spotter calling out, coming off of turn 2, 3 wide, 2 of them outside, and here comes Mayhem down to my inside. I heard 3 wide, 2 of them outside. Next thing I know, I see Mayhem on my inside, and it's like, whoa, I'm 4 wide here. And Mayhem makes it through there clean. Everybody made it through there fairly clean. The car got loose on the outside. I think it was Steve Looney got loose, and Monty Keller wasn't able to avoid him. And they ended up sweeping back down and collected me. I went around, but Mayhem made it right through there, 4 wide on the bottom, and managed to steal that win away from Terry Scott, who had dominated most of this race. So that's, hats off to Mayhem there. That was a hell of a move at the end of the race to take that win, man. Great job.
Yes, great win for Mayhem. Terry Scott second, Winks third, BSR 5, and fourth, and Pockets rounds out the top 5.
well, I got lucky on that last run there. Right when y'all were talking about all that stuff Axel was doing, I managed to sneak my way back into the top 5. So all week long was in the wash at California. I mean, we drove hard in that race, though. That was we were trying to make up from the trouble we had the night before. So,
Well, top 5, you can't complain about that. And as you see, Terry Scott definitely dominated that race. He led 63 laps. He led the majority of that race. Mayhem did manage to lead about 13 laps. Several other drivers got some laps led in there, and I didn't realize I had finished in 8th place. I thought I had finished back a little bit farther than that after that incident there at the end. Monty even came back. He was involved in that, finished in 7th. Not a bad finish for a late race incident there, getting it gathered back up and racing back to the line. So, great race, and I believe that is 2 in this series for Mayhem. Mayhem has only made 2 races. I was looking over the schedule and the results when I was loading up all of this stuff for the spotter stand this morning, and I was wondering, as you'll see when we get to the points, why Mayhem is so far behind in the points. And I went and looked at the races we've had so far, and he's actually only made 2 races. He missed Daytona and he missed Vegas. I believe it was Vegas. So the 2 races he's been in, he won both of them. So, that's a great stat there for Mayhem. So if he can keep that up, he'd be able to make that deficit up, I think, from missing those 2 races.
maybe he'll miss some more.
Yeah, let's go over and take a look at the points in this series. It is Steve Looney leading the Xfinity Series with a 5-point lead over Monty Keller and myself, both tied for 2nd place. BSR Pockets in 4th place, down by 7, and BSR Terry Scott moves up 2 spots to take over 5th place, down by 9. And it's pretty close back there right after him. Brain only down by 14, Nelly by 16. Looks like you got another tie there between Wings and SS for 8th place, down by 18. And look at where Mayhem is, even with the 2 victories. He did move up 3 positions with that victory, but missing those 2 races, it's killing him. He's down by 108 points, way back in 18th place. But he's certainly racking up bonus points toward the chase. You know, even if he's able to make a little over half the races, get his full attendance bonus points, and rack up a couple of more wins, he'll be fine going into the chase. Even missing some races, he'll be right there, maybe even leading the bonus points in this series going into the chase. We'll have to see.
Yeah, he's got it set up to where, I mean, we've got it set up to where he can miss some races and still, there's bonus point for the top 5 at the end of the segment. So that's not, you know what I mean? If he has to miss that bonus point segment, it won't be that big a deal. He still have plenty of bonus points to take into the chase with him.
Yeah, and he will be able to miss one of those chase races if it comes down to it. We don't allow any provisionals during the actual series, but when it comes to the chase, one provisional is allowed. You will get last place points for one race if you miss. Of course, last place points, it's going to be hard to make that up. You know, even getting that provisional, it's going to be tough. So a lot of racing to go, though. We got 2 segments in this Xfinity series before we get to the chase, and we're not even halfway through the first one. So we still got a lot of racing to go. And if Mayhem can manage to make several of those races and win one or two more, he's going to be sitting pretty come chase time. Now on Saturday night, the Drunken Cow Jerky Team Series, Battle of the Six Flavors and Wolf Bites. And I believe we ran Talladega this Saturday night. Yeah. Season 37, we're about halfway. Wasn't that race 5? I believe it was race 5. So we're halfway through season 37. And once again, BSR SS Joba in the number 56 Reaper flavored car brings home another victory for his team. I believe that makes a total of 4 wins out of 5 races. Is that correct?
Their team won 4, Joba won 3, Momo got 1.
Yeah. Out of 5 races, one driver's won 3 of them.
That was race 6.
That was race 6?
Yeah. Yes.
So I know that the original team won a race. I believe Chevy Chase won a race for his team. What other team has won a race?
DJ Champ.
DJ Champ. He is on Beer Bacon, is that right?
Yes, that is right.
So we got one victory by Beer Bacon, 1 by Original, and 4 victories by the Reaper team. The Reaper team just rubbing it in. You know, he was on here on the spotter stand a couple of weeks ago, and we thought it was going to work against him. You know, calling out all the other teams but you know, hey, there he is, another victory at Talladega. You know, SS, one of the best super speedway racers there are. He's really consistent in the pits. He knows how to get it done, and he got it done Saturday night at Talladega.
I tell you, and he did it. He did it without the help of his teammates, because he only had one teammate to start off the race because the other one had some technical issues and couldn't field a car on the track, and then his other teammate got into some trouble after the halfway point of the race, and he finished up that race and won without his other 2 teammates. So that'll tell you that, you know, I always say about the team race, people always are concerned about, well, what if my teammate don't show up? This is what I tell them. You have to run the team race just like you would any other race. Your goal is to be the highest finisher for your team, no matter how you do it. You just hope that you can use the help that you can get from your teammates. But this is one of those things that I'm trying to tell people, that you don't have to have that help. It's good to have it, but you're not at, you know what I mean? You've got to do the best you can. You've got to get the best finish you can, and the best finish that you could possibly get is win the race, whether you have teammates or not. And that right there proves it. He didn't even have any teammates in the last segment of the race there, and he ended up winning the race. So that'll that'll give you a little bit of insight of the philosophy behind team racing. I mean, it's good to have help, but obviously you don't really need it if you play your cards right.
And that was a hell of a race at the end. I was right behind the leaders there. Um, as we were all racing back to the line, SS trying to hold on to that front spot. He was bobbing and weaving and doing everything he could to stay in front of that second place car. I think it was Wings that was behind him. I'm not sure if that was Wings.
DJ.
DJ. Okay, yeah, it was DJ. Yeah,
Remember,
DJ.
because DJ said he wasn't lifted. It was too late to race.
Yeah,
I will not forget that.
he was trying to go high, trying to go low, and SS was, just like Dale Earnhardt out there, moving right, moving left, and just keeping it in front of DJ, not giving DJ any chance to go around. I thought for sure they were going to wreck with the way he was moving and staying in front of him and blocking him. That's what you got to do. And like I said, experienced super speedway racer knows how to get it done. And that's what he did, man. It was fun to watch. Just, if I couldn't be up there and win it for my team, I'm glad I was there and be able to at least see that race back to the line. That was great. Let's go take a look at some race results here. See how these teams finished up. Looks like obviously Carolina Reaper team won the race. The next close finishing team was Beer Bacon. Then Ghost finished a little ways behind them. Teriyaki was the next closest finisher, one of the original drivers. And then Wolf Bites and Hot, the Hot team with not such a great week this week. But it looks like the Ghost team, actually their driver who managed to get their points, also led the most laps in that race. So even though they didn't win the race, they got a bonus point for leading a lap, and they got another bonus point for leading the most laps. So they were able to at least tie with that Beer Bacon team who finished in front of them and only got a lead a lap bonus point. Reaper, you can see with 47 points, that's 4 points over the second and third finishers there. So they're going to gain again on all of these teams with only 4 races to go in this series.
But at least we kept them from leading the most laps. I do know that. Oh, 50-50 out there.
Let's see how they stand.
It looked like the race was for second place, but I still think it's doable. A lot of things can happen in 4 races. That's 400 laps. That's 800. That's close to 1,000 miles of racing.
Oh yeah. They got lucky last week. Well, not last Saturday, but the one before, because they all kind of had some trouble, and but SS got into Roger Bevins. He got into Poor Boy while they were going into the pits and ended up messing both of them up, and they were a lap down. They kind of got lucky in that race, managing to get back on the lead lap and pull off a decent finish for their team. Something like that happens again, and there's no caution, and that's exactly what all the rest of these teams need, is them to have some sort of bad luck in the pits or something to where they finish out of the top 10 in a couple of these races for anybody to have a chance to catch up to them.
And this week, we will be under the lights at Daytona in the trucks, baby.
Oh, back in the trucks on Saturday night. Let's take a look at how these points stand after 6 races. Carolina Reaper team up at the top, stretching that lead back out to 21 points over the second place Beer Bacon team. Third place Original down by 23. Then you've got Ghost down by 26. Teriyaki back by 32. The Wolf Bites team down by 45. And Hot rounding out the field down by 53. Man, 21 points, 23 points. That's a lot of points to make up in 4 races. It's not going to be easy. The Beer Bacon team is going to have to pull off some victories. Same with Original. Yeah, multiple victories and some bad luck by the Reaper team to be able to suck that deficit back up.
21 points. There's usually about 21 positions on the track, so that would leave them around 18 or 19, 17 for the lowest score possible. So it's And I'm gonna tell you, if you've ever paid any attention to the history of the Saturday Night Team Series, it has big swings in it, and they usually come right about now. So they either have to maintain or uh, they risk the chance of losing all of that, and you could lose all the majority of that in one race. Have two bad races, and it's a whole different story.
We'll find out. A totally different race in the trucks, than it is in the cups. You still got to be consistent in the pits, but these trucks, they suck up a lot faster than the cup cars do. So there's a lot more possibilities for incidents and accidents to happen. A little bump in the corner by accident with these trucks sucking up so fast. So it's going to change things a little bit. We'll see how
And
everybody does.
if I'm not mistaken, Reaper won both truck events that we've had so far in the early stages of the season. But like I always say, overconfidence is a killer. Let's just hope that they are overconfident and think that they have what it takes, enough breathing room here, because I'm not convinced that they do.
Well, I can tell you one thing you're definitely going to hear me saying this coming Saturday. What in the hell are you
Are
doing
you
in
helping
that
them
line with the
or?
Reaper team?
I seen some people Saturday night, and I was kind of thinking, that those guys are just kicking our ass. You probably should want to separate yourself from them, but hey, you don't know. They may have some power and influence over some of the other teams. There may be some. You
Well,
just can't never tell.
with 7 teams out here, if you want to advance your position, you gotta choose a different line. You gotta go low or go high to try to advance your position. And a Reaper team's going to be in one of those lines, so you almost can't help being in the same line with them at some point during the race. If you want to advance your position for your team, you got to do what you got to do, and you just hope that when it comes to the end of the race, everybody will remember what the score is.
You hope so, and plus a lot of people they'll trade a personal win for. It's just, man, it's there's so many different scenarios to play out here that you gotta kind of play the cards you're given. Sometimes you don't have you just do not have an opportunity. It's like I said, it's like playing chess, and sometimes there's just not a winning move that you can make, and you have to settle for second or third.
Well, on Saturday night after the team series, we've got a new series that started, the Stadium Super Truck Series, sponsored by WLS Graphics. Run late night Saturday night after the team series is done. We had our first official points counting race this Saturday night. Now, I did pull off the win. I don't have a truck painted up yet. I've just got just a gray truck with a 201 number, and so there's no render or anything for this series yet. Maybe I'll have something up ready to do by next week. I don't know if Scar, if he's even got anything or has
There's no
found
scenes
anything.
for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no scenes for it. So he said that he might just make a page or a banner with your name, a picture with your name on it or something. I'm not sure what he's got planned for that, but he'll come up with something. We'll figure out something.
Well, I can always go in the game and get a screenshot of the car spinning around in the player info, and just crop it and make an image render that we can use for the spotter stand. But like I said, I didn't have a paint job for this one, so I didn't bother this week. A little something special for the first race. The winner of the first race received 3 bags of Drunken Cow jerky. And I did forward my jerky to someone I think well deserving of it. I don't believe he's ever had jerky, and if he has, it's probably only been once. And have you talked to
Nope.
him about that? No.
Nope.
I ain't had
I
no
was gonna-
damn jerky.
I was gonna let you tell him about it. Shut up, Joba. We done
SS
talked about
Joba.
you. We done
Did
talked
you-
about your team. You're too
I
late.
heard you talking your
You're too
Hey,
late.
we
You're
talked.
too
We
late.
talked.
plan.
We
done
talked
passed
good
that.
about. We talked good about you, man. We gave you props. You gotta give us that. We gave you props, and definitely,
I must have missed that part.
yeah.
Yeah, you missed all that.
I definitely gave you some props for being knowing how to get it done and getting it done. And Pockets gave you props for getting it done without your teammates there at the end. So, we definitely talked a little bit of we talked about what we got to do to try to beat you, but we gave you your props. Anyway,
hear
the jerky that I did receive, since I've won some jerky here recently in a few other events, I've gotten a few bags, and I felt the best thing to do would be for me to pass that on to somebody else who hasn't been as lucky and hasn't received much jerky. So I elected to pass it on to Randy Claflin. Randy was there for the race. And I think he was talking about how, he hasn't had any jerky, and maybe he has, but if he has, it's probably only been once. So, Randy, you let Pockets know what 3 flavors of jerky that you want and get with him, give him your address. He's going to be shipping that beef jerky right over to you.
All you have to do is tell me the 3 flavors. I'm pretty sure I have your address. Let me know the 3 flavors you want. We'll get that shipped right out to you. Congratulations to you, Randy, and thanks to Texan for forwarding that over to somebody who's hasn't had any drunken cow jerky, because I'd made the statement the other night that I believed everybody had had some, and Randy told us that he hadn't, and so Texan took care of that problem.
Absolutely. Randy, dedicated spotter stand fan. He's in here every week with us watching the spotter stand, and when he can't make the race, I see him on my stream, watching the stream, and he's in racing with us whenever he can get in there. And yeah, I think, like you said, just about everybody has had some jerky at one point or another, and Randy, I don't think he has, and he did type in the chat there, nope. So I'm assuming that means he's never had any. Well, you let Pockets know what flavors you want. You're going to get some. Got some jerky coming your way.
Send me a private message on Facebook, so I'll have it right there when I order it. I'll take care of you, brother.
Let's take a look at the finishing at the race results here from this SST series.
Oh, and that jerky prize was provided by Tim Scarborough over at WLS Graphics, BSR Scar. That's he jumped on board to sponsor the series, and he said, you know what, let's kick it off right. Winner gets 3 bags of jerky. So thanks to everyone over at WLS Graphics.
Texan 1, Brave Fade in 2nd, Nelly in 3rd, Steve Looney in 4th, and Pockets rounding the top 5 off.
Wow, that was awesome. I wish you could have done the rest of those.
Yes, absolutely.
Somehow it looks like I managed to lead every lap. I remember Monty Keller getting past me. He passed me clean, and man, this was a tough track. This GNC Stunt Road. This was a very narrow track, very difficult with the jumps, and as narrow as it is to pass, especially to pass cleanly. And Monty Keller passed me nice and clean on the track, and then a couple of turns later, he just got in the gas a little bit too hard, a little bit too soon, and spun, and I was able to go back by him. So he did pass me and take over the lead briefly, but I guess he didn't make it back to the start-finish line to actually get credit for leading a lap. So somehow I managed to lead them all, and man, you guys, I was watching it in my mirror mostly, and you guys were seeing a lot of it, but I was hearing it obviously on TeamSpeak with the, how narrow this track is and all the jumps. What was it like back there trying to get around this track and not run into somebody?
Possible. I tell you, that it was tough back there. That track was extremely difficult. It didn't really, I mean, we ran a couple of laps. I mean, we made it around the course 3 or 4 times on 3 or 4 different occasions in between the little pileups that we had in some of them little short dirt hairpin corners, with a jump right before you get to it and everything. It's just inevitable that we were going to pile up. But I tell you, there was a couple of times I went across some of those big jumps on the front stretch with. I went across one of them one time 3 wide. We flew across the checker stand 3 wide in the air, and that was about the coolest thing I've ever done right there. So when we were rolling, we were rolling good, and it was like I said, this series is going to grow and evolve, and we're going to figure out some things. We're working on it as we go, kind of, so to speak. But some of these things we just gotta get out there, have a race, see how it goes, and determine what we want to do from that point. But we had a race, and you won it, and that's the way that goes. We move on to the next track to see how it goes, and after we go through a full cycle in this series and the 7 or 8 tracks that we got, then we'll kind of determine, and like I said, our friend Steve Looney's working on some things. He's looking at some things to adjust and everything like that. But man, this all started from us seeing this real World Series, the Super Stadium Truck Series, seeing some videos of it and everything, and how cool we thought it was. So we thought that we would try to simulate it, and Steve brought to our attention that we could absolutely simulate it. And I tell you, from what I've seen so far, I mean, this is a 16-year-old game. Graphics leave a little to be desired. It's a little cartoon looking, but when you get in the car and you're driving and you're going over those jumps, and even going back and looking at some of the replays and seeing the way the trucks handle and the way they run over the jumps, it looks a lot like what you see. Just graphics wise, we're a little behind the 8 ball on the graphics, but I think everybody seems to really like it. So that's the most important part. It's something that we're doing that's fun, and this is simulating a real World Series. So we'll keep continuing to work on it and see what we come up with.
Well, according to Steve Looney, we absolutely did simulate what it's like for them to do a real race. Because even though we were running into each other, and this track, like I said, is so narrow. If one car gets out of whack and gets sideways on the track, you can't avoid them. There's no going around them, because there's no room to go around them if they're sideways in the middle of the track. So that just piles everybody up. And according to what Steve was saying, if you watch a real race at that track, that's exactly what it looks like. So, even though it may have seemed like, there were a lot of pile-ups and whatnot, apparently that was a good simulation, because that's what it's really like in real life.
Oh, absolutely. They tear the sheet metal off them things, roll them over end over end. It's just craziness. And that's about what we had there Saturday night. Was just a lot of craziness, but it was still a good time. When everybody left, they were all laughing and saying they look forward to doing it next week. So that's the most important part.
So what track are we headed to in this series next week, or this coming up week?
I have no idea. I never know till we pull up in the parking lot.
I don't recall the name, but I do remember Steve saying that it was all pavement.
It's Long Beach.
Long Beach.
Long Beach. That'll be that's something to look forward to. That'll be exciting right there.
Well, when I was loading these up, I was noticing in the points that there is a little bit something different with this series. Let's go over here and take a look at the points after one race. If you notice here, the separation is 1 point to every driver. So
it is the same point structure as the Dirt Series. No points for leading the lap. No bonus points for the most lap. Just 1 point of position.
Yeah, 1 point per position. Since there's no heat races, there's no bonus points whatsoever in this. You get your point for your spot, 1 point per position. That's going to keep things close. That's for sure. That's going to keep it really tight. And, from first to 12th right now, only separated by 11 points. You know, myself in the lead, Brain Fade in second, Nelly in third, Steve Looney in fourth, and BSR Pockets hanging in there in the top 5 in yet another series. You know, Pockets not having a bad season. You're doing pretty good this year, man. You're in the top 5 in just about every one of these series, I believe.
Still early. And I don't mean that the way. I don't mean that the way as I think I might be going up out of the top 5. It's just still, you know, I'm usually right around top 5. That's, I mean, if I can get a top 5, that's good. It's the times that I don't get a top 5 that holds me in 5th place overall. So,
Pockets,
you know.
I got a question for you, sir.
All right, ask.
Can I put a driver in my truck?
Absolutely.
Okay.
For Saturday
way-
night?
That way I don't have to paint her truck. She can just go in and run mine,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
since I'm not going to run it.
Well, I tell you, man, I am eager to get a couple of laps in at this next track, being all pavement. I want to see if these trucks being a little taller, if they're going to flip over when you
roll
try to
over.
make. They do, huh?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, I would imagine in the jumps, maybe you might be able to land a little smoother if you're nice and straight. But if
Yeah.
you're even just a little bit crooked, it's
Well,
probably it's going to grip you and probably roll you over. I would bet you could even roll over just trying to turn too tight, too fast.
Yeah, but you spin out more because you'll be using first gear, and first gear is kind of high. So when you stand on the throttle, it kind of spins the truck. So it spins out more than it flips over. I will say that, but they will roll over. You have to be a little careful. And this is Long Beach is the same track that we ran in the beginning, ain't it, Pockets? I believe.
No.
Oh, it's not.
No,
But
it's not.
It should be pretty similar to it anyway.
Long Beach is the actual Long Beach Grand Prix course that they run. It's all asphalt. It'll have jumps. It'll have turns. It's a road course, and it's actually on the streets of Long Beach, California.
The very first track we ran with these was like that. I thought it was.
Yeah,
thought it was the
I know
one
what you're talking about.
For anybody who can hang out after the Saturday night race and race in this Stadium Super Truck Series, I can promise you'll have a lot of fun. It's a blast. Everybody's loved it. Even though you end up in some pileups here and there, it's a lot of fun. And you know, if you can hang out, if you didn't make it this last week, if you can make it this coming up week, I promise you'll enjoy yourself. I'm glad that this, this is something totally new and fresh, and it's completely different than anything else we've ever done. It's like running a road course with jumps on it, and yeah, it's cool. So if you can hang out after the team race on Saturday night and race in this series, it's well worth it. You'll definitely enjoy yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, this thing is, we are simulating a real series, and this is just one of the more unique series that Racing World has to offer that we've decided to try to simulate, and we look forward to doing some more of it late on Saturday nights after the Saturday Night Team Series.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the bonus points as they stand 4 races into most of these series. In the trucks, they were off again, so no change once again here in these bonus points. In the last 2 weeks, they're exactly how they were when we left out of Vegas, I believe it was. Over to the Xfinity Series, there was a little bit of change here. BSR Mayhem pulling off his second victory. Notice he's got that big number 2 up there in the winner race column, and he has moved himself up to 2 total bonus points over there. BSR Pockets still holding the lead in the total bonus points with 4. Next person behind him is 2, so he's got a 2-point lead right now in the bonus points. So again, starting off to a great start here in the beginning of this Xfinity Series. You're setting your chase up good early. All you can do is keep on plugging and hope you can keep it up there. You know, you're going to go into the chase pockets, I think, with a good chance here, right up at the top.
Well, we definitely have something to build on there, something to look forward to, something to kind of try to maintain every week, which you know how tough that is. I mean, this is a long season, this is a long schedule, and so we are fortunate enough to come out of the gate doing fairly well, and so we'll keep trudging along. We got a lot of other people out there having great seasons. I mean, Steve Looney, Monty Keller, for their second year. You know, they came in a little late during the season last year, but they stayed for the remainder of the season, made it through the chase, had some good, decent standings there in the chase, and so they're back for a full season this year. And those two guys are doing really well. You know, showed them their Friday night at the top of the board, and Rick Craddock, you know, he's back doing good. And we'll just Terry Scott, he's overcome a little bump in the road a couple of weeks ago, and he's struggling a little bit. But you know, that's usually the way it works. You got one guy struggling, one guy doing good. Next week, that guy does good, the other guy struggles. So it's just a kind of a seesaw deal. And you know, and there's so many things that can happen in these races, whether it be mechanical or just driver mistake or somebody else's mistake. You're having a perfect race, somebody else makes a mistake, affects you. There's so many variables that go on here. We have to go do our best and then pick up the pieces, whatever they are, good or bad, and move on to the next track. Like I said, we don't get hung up on one race because we've got about 85 more races to go. So covering the 3 series. So a lot of racing, a lot of series, a lot of points to be won and lost. So we'll just keep doing what we do, and because you know everybody else is too. So and we'll just see how it shakes out.
Well, we have seen that 38 Drunken Cow Jerky hot machine in victory lane in the truck series, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them sneak a win or two in this series as well. So I'm sure you're going to build on those 4 bonus points, and they're only going to get better. Let's take a look over at the Cup Series. In the Cup Series, it was BSR Brain Fade that took the victory this week and did move over into the Victory Lane Club. He's got himself a bonus point over there in the winner race column. He also added himself over to the total bonus points over there with 1. And it is still BSR Momo with the top spot here in the Cup Series with 4 bonus points, and Pockets and myself right behind him with 3. See, Rick Craddock up there has got himself 2, and quite a few other drivers in there with 1. Long season. We've only 4 races into 26 races before the chase comes up, so a whole lot of racing left to go in this series. And coming up to Martinsville, somebody else may add themselves to that Victory Lane Club over there in the winner race column, or one of these guys, Rick Craddock, Barry, Pockets, Brain Fade, may pull off a repeat and put up another bonus point for themselves in that column. So we'll see what happens this coming up week at Martinsville. And Friday night, as you know, we'll be off. Friday, since the Xfinity race series does not run, that night will be completely off. I wouldn't be surprised to see a few guys in there maybe doing some practicing in that SST series, since we don't usually get much chance to practice those tracks before we actually get into them on Saturday night. Having that off night on Friday night might be a good night to do exactly that and have a little practice run at that SST track before we get to it on Saturday.
Just a heads up I want to throw out for everybody. Next week, all 3 series, extra bonus points on the line.
Going home to Texas.
That's right.
Mark
Going
Heyman
home
and
to
Richard
Texas.
Heyman and our friend Texan going to the home state there, the Lone Star State. So yeah, it's big week next week. Big week next week.
Yep, that Spring Texas
Throw
race.
that out there.
Spring Texas race hands out the same bonus points in all 3 of the series. It will be 3 bonus points to the winner of the race in each series, 2 bonus points to second place, and 1 bonus point to third, fourth, and fifth place. So if you can manage to pull off a victory in one of these series at Texas, that's 3 bonus points towards your chase. So That's
Yeah,
next week.
sixth race. So what is it? Seventh race of the season is going to be one of the biggest races of the year, and we've got a couple of more of those planned coming on later up before the chase. So that's going to be a big week next week. Yeah, we always look forward to going home to Texas and going to see Mark Heyman, Richard Heyman, all the fine folks down in Dallas, Texas. So it's going to be a big deal next week.
Absolutely.
That bonus point board will get jockeyed around pretty good after that race, Texas.
There's gonna be some people mad. There's gonna be some people fighting, helmets thrown. There's gonna be people. It's just gonna be awesome.
I always love to see those boxes get filled up. You know, they start out empty at the beginning of the season, and slowly but surely those boxes get filled up, and that totals column over there on the far right gets more and more names listed in it. And yeah, I just like seeing those boxes get filled up and watching as we tick the races away and tick the weeks away until we actually come up to the chase. You know, it's exciting. Even in the beginning of the season, it's exciting, and it just builds even more toward the chase.
I like seeing those guys being able to join the Victory Lane Club, and now Brain Fade, he's going to get a key to the Victory Lane Lounge that we have for the champions, for the winners of the series. And Larry, remind me to tell them they're going to have to stock a lot more beer in the lounge over there in the Champions Lounge, because Brain's getting the key to come in this week. We'll see who else gets to join that little exclusive club.
Well, that's about all we have for you guys this week. We appreciate everybody who tuned in and watched us live, and thanks to Pockets and Hot Rod and Tricia Rugrat for joining us here and helping out on the spotter stand. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will see you all on the track tomorrow night at Martinsville.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. See y'all later. Holla.